The White House imposing new tariffs aimed at China as economic tensions rise between the two nations. China now vowing to match them. President Trump enacting a 25% tariff on $50 billion in goods, set to go into effect July 6th. Now, on the list, about 1,100 products mostly used in machinery, as the White House reviews a second list of products for new tariffs. The president weighed in earlier on a possible trade war.
There is no trade war. They've taken so much. So last year, $375 billion in trade deficit. We had a 300 with China. We had overall over $800 billion over a period of years. Each year, close to $800 billion in losses on trade. It's not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. Can't happen.
I'm joined now by Michael Allen of Beacon Global Strategies and former member of the National Security Council. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Okay, so what do you make of this? Because China said, listen, whatever you give us, it's coming back at you. We're going to retaliate. They have said that this president is damaging. He's undermining the world global trade situation as it is. But this guy's a disruptor. He told us all through the campaign this is exactly what he was going to do.
He told us he was going to do this. And as you know, China's got this plan to overtake the United States in sort of military critical technology. And so we all sort of agree that this is a big problem. The United States has to do something. Trump's formulation to get leverage over the Chinese is to do more tariffs. I mean, we could try something else, but this is the way the president is going after it. And so he hopes to get some leverage over them so that we might have real negotiations later.
Okay, and there are real people at the end of this, because now China says we're going to go after the people who love you, the heartland, the farmers, the Midwest. Right. It's going to hurt somebody in the long run. We've got some polling. Monmouth poll asked about how do you think the tariffs are going to impact the U.S. economy. 25% did say they think it's going to help, but a much larger number, 40%, at least their perception is it's going to hurt us.
I think they're right, because as they put things on tariffs on soybeans and other farmers in the Midwest, it may cause us more jobs in the long run. President Bush tried some tariffs early on, and I think the reports came back many years later that, you know what, you ended up costing us more jobs than you saved in this little instance. So we've got to be careful. The president's got to play it right. He does have the cushion of an amazingly strong economy, which probably gives him a little bit more confidence to try this. But yeah, he's got to watch it here.
Okay, so let's talk about this possible meeting now between the president and Vladimir Putin. Here is what he said about the possibility that they will meet this summer.
Are you planning to meet with Putin this summer?
It's possible that we'll meet, yeah. And I thought, you know, this all started because one of you asked, should Putin be in the G7? I said, no, he should be in the G8. A few years ago, Putin was in what was called the G8. I think it's better to have Russia in than to have Russia out. Because just like North Korea, just like somebody else, it's much better if we get along with them than if we don't.
Now, my understanding of what he was saying about the G8 was, listen, Russia is intertwined with everything we have to talk about, from Syria to the Middle East to North Korea, everything else. So if they're not at the table, what good are our discussions? That seemed to be, to me, my interpretation of what he was saying there. What do you think?
No, I think so. He knows about Syria and Ukraine, and I think he's making the calculations. Like you say, better to have him at the table. I don't know if we're all there yet because of the Russian behavior across the board in the Middle East. They are trying to thwart the United States everywhere we go. But I get it. He's the president. He's got to maintain the big picture in mind, and so he's trying to salvage some sort of a relationship with Russia, even as the Congress and others are aggressively going after him.
When you look back on things, including Crimea, Ukraine, I mean, there are serious issues. And as you said, it's basically a proxy war when it comes to Syria and a lot of what's going on in the Middle East. The president says, yeah, I may sit down and talk with this guy, but he's also, the U.S. has been tough. I mean, the sanctions that have been levied, there are things that are going on that maybe don't get in the headlines every day, but it's sort of a schizophrenic relationship.
It really is. And I don't see it getting better anytime soon. But that is the irony. Trump has put on serious sanctions against the Russians, arguably more than President Obama. I think definitely more than President Obama. But because the president seems like he's ready to meet, he sort of sends these conflicting messages, as you say, and so some of that gets trampled over. But I think he's being tough on Russia. I don't know if I'm ready to let him back in the G7, but I get what he's trying to do. He wants to maintain a little bit of a conversation.
He seems to like both the carrots and the sticks in dealing with these guys. All right, Mike Allen, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks so much.
Great to see you.
Good night.
All right.